नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रसाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी प्रश्यत दिशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अस्तोत्र सुधुवंदेश एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अस्तोत्र सुधुवंदेश भक्ति सिद्धांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, मायापुर धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगामयी जमुनामयी की जय, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Pandit Prabhu, you're welcome to post.
Okay.
I sent the link to the current text.
Okay, let's see. Hold on. Okay. What's the verse, Prabhu?
421:33.
33, okay. 33. Tama eva yuyam bhajatatmam vruttibhir manovacha kaya gunai swakarma viha amayinah kama dugdadri pankajam yatha yathadhikaravati siddhayah. Translation. Prithu Maharaj advised his citizens, engaging your mind, your words, your bodies, and results of your occupational duties, and being always open-minded, you should all render devotional service to the Lord according to your abilities and the occupation in which you are situated. You should engage your service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with full confidence and without reservation. Then you will surely be successful in achieving the final objective in your lives. Purport. As stated in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Swakarmana tam abhyacharya. One has to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's occupational duties. This necessitates accepting the principle of 4 Varna and 4 Ashram. Prithu Maharaj therefore says, Kunaiha swa karma viha. This phrase is explained in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnam maya sustam guna karma vibhakasha. The 4 castes, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, are created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to the material modes of nature and the particular duties discharged in those modes. A person who is situated in the mode of goodness is certainly more intelligent than others. Therefore, he can practice the Brahmanical activities, namely speaking the truth, controlling the senses, controlling the mind, remaining always clean, practicing tolerance, having full knowledge about one's self-identity, and understanding devotional service. In this way, if he engage himself in the loving service of the Lord as an actual Brahmana, his aim to achieve the final interest of life is attained. Similarly, the Kshatriya's duties are to give protection to the citizen, to give all his possessions in charity, to be strictly Vedic in the management of the state affair, and to be unafraid to fight whenever there is an attack by enemies. In this way, a Kshatriya can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his occupational duties. Similarly, a Vaishya can satisfy the Supreme Godhead by properly executing his occupational duties, engaging himself in producing foodstuff, giving protection to cow, and trading if necessary when there is an excess of agricultural production. Similarly, because Shudra do not have ample intelligence, they should simply engage as workers to serve the higher status of social life. everyone's aim should be to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by engaging his mind in thinking always of Krishna, his words in always offering prayers to the Lord or preaching about the glories of the Lord, and his body in executing the service required to satisfy the Lord. As there are 4 divisions within our body, the head, the arm, the belly, and the leg, similarly, human society, taken as a whole, is divided into 4 classes of men, according to their material qualities and occupational duties. Thus, the Brahmanical or intelligent men have to execute the duty of the head. The Kshatriya must fulfill the duty of the arms. The Vaishya's class must fulfill the duty of the belly, and the Sudras must fulfill the duty of the legs. In executing the prescribed duties of life, no one is higher or lower. There are such divisions as higher and lower, but since there is actually a common interest, that is to satisfy Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are no distinction between them. The question may be...
Should we divide this purport up?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, please go ahead.
Okay. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Srimavadi Paschija Deshatare. The series of verses is significant because Prithu Maharaj is telling his citizens what he wants them to do, what should be their practical engagement. The social system or one's life itself has to be practical. It can't just be nice philosophy. There has to be practical activity. And here, the nature of that practical activity is being prescribed by King Prithu. Tam eva yuyam bhajata atmavritibhi. The first point is tam bhajata. One should engage in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without this, the rest of it is not to the point. This is the ultimate point of everything, that one should engage in bhajan, or devotional service to the Lord. Atmavritibhi, by one's own occupational duty. And Prabhupada has explained those duties in terms of the 4 varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Manavacha Kaya Gunai Sakarmabhi, according to our prescribed duties, or rather according to our qualities, the qualities that we've acquired, we should engage our mind, our words, our bodies, everything in Krishna's service. Amayana, well, Prabhupada will describe the rest of these points as we go along. Let me just see if there's anything more that I want to comment on. Let's continue. So Karmana Tamavyarcha Siddhim Vindati Manam. Whether one is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra in one's occupation, everyone can become perfect by serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. You want to read further, Mahesh?
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. And here, this one thing catch my mind, my eyes. Everyone's aim should be to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by engaging his mind in thinking always of Krishna. Thank you.
And where was that exactly?
The question may be raised that since the Lord is supposed to be worshipped by great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and others, how can an ordinary human being on this planet serve him? This is clearly explained by Prithu Maharaj by the use of the word yatha adhikara, according to one's ability. If one sincerely execute his occupational duty, that will be sufficient. One does not need to become like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, Lord Chaitanya, or Ramanujacharya, whose capabilities are certainly far above ours. Even a Sudra, who is in the lowest stage of life, according to the material qualities, can achieve the same success. Anyone who becomes successful in devotional service, provided he display no duplicity. It is explained here that one must be very frank and open-minded. Amayinaha, frank and open-minded. To be situated in lower status of life is not a disqualification of success for success in devotional service. The only qualification is that whether one is a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, he must be open, frank, free from reservations. Then, by performing his particular occupational duty under the guidance of a proper spiritual master, he can achieve the highest success in life. As confirmed by the Lord himself, Sriyo Vaishya Tatha Sudro Te Pi Yanti Param Gatim. It does not matter what one is, whether a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, or a degraded woman. If one engages himself seriously in devotional service, working with body, mind, intelligence, he is sure to success in going back home, back to Godhead. The Lord's lotus feet are described here as Kama Yugdharidir Pankajam, because they have all power to fulfill the desire of everyone. A devotee is happy even in this life because although in material existence we have many needs, all his material needs are satisfied. When he at last quits his body, he goes back home, back to Godhead without doubt. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Here Prithu Maharaj gives a straightforward advice to all his citizens. It doesn't matter which position you are in, just engage yourself in the service of Krishna and your life will be successful. Being we are in Kali Yuga, there is a method of engaging ourselves in the service of Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is make it very, very easy. Just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and your life will be successful. And at the end, you will go back home to the spiritual world. And the only thing is we have to be sincere and very open, frank, and free from reservation. And one doesn't have to be become really great like demigods like Lord Brahma or Shiva or others. Ordinary living being can still have success in his life just by rendering devotional service to Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Amayana means not tricky.
Not tricky.
not skilled at deception or cunning, straightforward, open, Amayana. And Prabhupada also renders it, I think, as without reservation. So one should engage in devotional service, not as in a tricky way, but honestly, sincerely engage in devotional service. Yatadikar, according to one's ability. Doesn't matter. Everyone can go back to Godhead by serving the Lord according to his own capability. He may be Vaishya, Shudra, or Brahmin, doesn't matter. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains these verses in terms of Karma Mishra Bhakti, or well, let's see what he says. Since we have drowned in household karma yoga, how can we worship with pure bhakti? Prithu then advises to do karma mishra bhakti. Worship the Lord by the actions of the varnas, sacrifice for the Brahmins, protection, kshatriyas, agriculture, and service, so karma bhi. Along with these occupations, atmavritti bhi, worship with the qualities of the mind, voice, and body, remembering the Lord, the mind, chanting and offering obeisances of the body, chanting, yes, the voice, and remembering the Lord, chanting and offering obeisances, the body, or worship with actions, sakarmabhi, of mind, voice, and body, and with your occupational duties for livelihood. If one's work is engaged for the Lord's service, or at least some portion is engaged on a steady basis, then that becomes bhakti. Those who have determined the object of perfection, avastitartha siddhya, without surpassing their varna, yatadikara, should worship him in this way. Or those who, by doing their prescribed occupation for the pleasure of the Lord, make it perfect. Or those who, by doing their prescribed occupation for the pleasure of the Lord, make it perfect, should worship the Lord in this way. By taking the meaning to be worship the Lord along with prescribed duties of varnashram, sakarma bhi, which are one's livelihood, atmavritti bhi, bhakti becomes predominant. The Vishwanath will explain in coming verses that by dedicating these activities to the service of the Lord, one advances on the path of bhakti and comes to the point of perfection. All right. Hare Krishna.
We have something in the chat. Murari Gupta Prabhu writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, in the Varnashram system, did Sudras have gurus in the same sense as the other Varnas? Would they be individually guided in devotional service?
Interesting question. I haven't seen much about that. My certainly they wouldn't be going to the Gurukul and getting instructions from because that's the beginning. Komaramachara Pragya, Dharma and Bhagavatani. or Brahmachari Gurukule Vasantanta Guru Hitam. So the Shudras would not be sent to the Gurukul because they wouldn't be trained in Vedic knowledge and all of that. That's not meant for the Shudras. They don't have the capacity for it. Yatadikar, according to one's adhikar, one's capability, one should be engaged. So they wouldn't have that capability. No use. Even Prabhupada said that about, if I remember, ISKCON devotees, that those who are not intellectual or inclined for such activities, send them to the farms and let them be engaged in honest work for Krishna consciousness. Why torture someone by trying to get him to be a Brahmin when that's not his work? That's, in one sense, the defect of our modern schools. Everybody goes to the school and is trained in, what should we say, sort of general education. So the Brahminical boys still have to learn Shudra stuff. Shudras have to learn stuff about things that they're not going to be qualified for. So the Shudras would make advancement by serving those who were engaged in the higher activities, by assisting in these activities. Tamabhyarcha, Siddhim Vindati, they would attain perfection. They didn't need to go through the Gurukul process and all of that. As far as whether they would be initiated and so on, well, I'm tempted to say no. Initiated means initiated into Vedic mantras and chanting of Gayatri and all of that. Actually, the Vedic system is finished. Now, no one is really fit for Vedic training. So in this age, Harinama, Evaketam, chanting of Hare Krishna is the most important thing. And for people to be engaged somehow or other, according to their capability, according to their, even the occupations are not so clear, but let them be all engaged in devotional service. I don't think I'll speculate more on that, having the background, although I have my thoughts about it.
Dave Potser Prabhu writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, I would be interested in hearing a bit more about the meaning of tricky. Does it essentially mean mixed motivations? When we self-inquire, how can we evaluate ourselves or interrogate our conduct in this regard?
Interesting question. Well, let's first look at what Mayana means. But Monia Williams, in his Sanskrit dictionary, says it means artful, skilled in art or enchantment, cunning, deceptive. It can also mean illusory. A mind, as a noun, it can be a conjurer, a juggler, a magician, a cheat, a deceiver. So that gives us some sense of how the word is used. So yes, it can be mixed motives. But essentially, the element I see just from the words is that it's not just having mixed motives, but it's trying to come across to hide those mixed motives or to present oneself as something that one is not. One approaches the guru as if he's sincerely wants to make progress in devotional service, but really he's looking for economic benefits, he's looking for a green card, he's looking for something other than devotional service. So both things come into play. One is mixed motives. Maybe I even tell myself that I really want to be a devotee, but my motive is not exactly to be a devotee. It's to get some of the material benefits of being a devotee, whether it's a reputation or it's nice food, or really I'm coming because the girls are nice, or whatever it is. It's not exactly pure motive. So that may be there. That we're thinking, what's in it for me? We're not thinking, how can I best please the personality of Godhead? And of course, that's sort of par for the course with new candidates, that they don't come as pure devotees. So that's what they're being trained in, or trained to be. But in the beginning, one has mixed motivations. And even after practice, one who's self-reflective, who's introspective, looks and says, well, what are my real motives here? Am I trying to serve Krishna, or am I just trying to have comfort or reputation or some sort of other benefit? So yes, interrogating ourselves as we go along, that's part of our process. That's illustrated in Chaitanya Charitamrita in the incident of cleaning the Gundicha temple, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates are cleaning it and cleaning it again, and then cleaning what they've cleaned. And Srila Prabhupada and Kaviraj Goswami liken this to the process of cleaning the heart. We get rid of the big junk, and then we get rid of the smaller junk, and on it goes. There's also, and tricky can mean just outright tricky, where one is coming, but one wants to embezzle money, one wants to really deceive. There may be a certain amount of deceptiveness in anyone whose motives are not pure, and sometimes it can be really gross. So those are some thoughts about Maya, tricky.
Guru Maharaj, I would like to follow up with that. I'm wondering, to what extent is that introspective process part of the cleaning up of the heart?
Yes, from one angle of vision, just one is chanting Hare Krishna, even if he's not introspective, if he's just chanting, then that chanting will purify the heart. Not everyone may have what should we say, an intellectual or self-searching nature. He may not be quite like that. But if he's just a simple person, just a simple person, and he agrees, all right, let me chant Hare Krishna. Let me take part in the festivals. Let me take part in the worship. Let me bow down when everyone else is bowing. If he's just a simple person, he'll be purified also, even though he may not be very intense or refined in introspection. On the other hand, Chanakya Pandit says, without introspection, what is the use? What's the use of a mirror for a blind man? So what is the use of the instructions given in the Shastras for a person who has no introspection? He'll read Krishna's instructions, but he won't put two and two together. He won't ask himself, how does this apply to me? when Krishna says, Kama, Krodha, Tata, Lobhas, Tasmat, Etat, Tram, Shijay, one should give up Kama, lust, anger, Kama, Krodha, and greed. Do I have anger? Do I have greed? Do I have lust? If he doesn't ask himself those questions, what is he going to do with that instruction? How it needs to be applied. That's Vigyan. Prabhupada sometimes translates Vigyan as applied knowledge. So how does one apply knowledge of spiritual realization without exercising the faculty of introspection, examining, looking into oneself, looking within and saying, how does this apply to me? So introspection is not, well, you don't need introspection, just chant. The introspection for a serious person, or a serious person, intelligent person, should use his intelligence for introspection, for looking at his own case and saying, where do I stand? Am I, am I engaged properly in prescribed duties? Am I acting according to my adhikar, according to my qualification? Or am I pretending to be more qualified? I'm pretending to be, someone comes to mind among my godbrothers, no longer present, as being sort of habitually pretentious, habitually pretending to be an intellectual when he didn't have intellectual qualities. He was, a much simpler person, much less qualified person, not an academic, not an intellectual, but there was always, it seemed to me, and I don't want to posthumously offend him mentally, even if I don't speak about who he is, but it seemed to me, and maybe this was my own shortcoming, but it seemed to me that there was a pretentiousness there. He was pretending to be more of an intellectual than he was. And it came off sort of, to my mind, made him look kind of foolish, because others could see that he wasn't an intellectual, he wasn't of that caliber. So that's also introspection, yatadikar. Oh, it says here, according to one's qualities. So what are my qualities? Am I meant for intellectual work, or should I be doing something different? Should I be engaged in economic development or farming? Or should I be engaged in administration and not pretending to be a scholar and a student? Or am I a scholar and therefore not really properly engaged in management and or business? So, and of course, if one is guided by the spiritual master, then in one sense, even if you're not introspective, well, I don't know, but this is what Guru Maharaj told me to do. And then he'll make advancement, because he may not see within what his situation is, but the spiritual master sees. This boy is fit for this boy is fit for that. These are some thoughts, I suppose, on introspection.
Dehi writes, how can one get an initiated guru? How can one get an initiated guru?
Is that a general question? Anyone in general? The general answer is that one takes some interest in devotional service, and then one associates with devotees. And in the association of devotees, one can find an expert in the science of devotional service, in whom one has confidence, and begin to serve him and follow his instructions. And then over time, one gets initiated. The spiritual master sees, oh, this person is serious, he's inquiring, he's taking up the process, he's following rules and regulations. So I give initiation. and then further develop.
Then Pravi, go ahead, Prashanand Babu.
Rari Gupta Prabhu writes, thank you, from earlier. And Praveen Prabhu writes, if a Shudra is serving the Vaishnavas for his livelihood, and at the same time trying to please the Vaishnavas, and he wouldn't be doing direct devotional service like Shravanam, Kirtanam, does he go back to Godhead? There is some arguments that unless one does direct devotional service like Shravanam, Kirtanam, one cannot attain bhakti. Just occupational duties of Lord, not enough. Then there are the servants of Srivas Thakur who worked for their livelihood and delivered.
We'll hear something about this topic from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as we go on. But yes, if one is serving the Vaishnavas, the example is Devahuti. By serving her husband, even though she was just serving her husband, she didn't really think of him as a guru or as a sadhu. She wasn't serving him in that spirit exactly, but she was serving him as a husband, as a wife serving a husband. And she became advanced in that way. Of course, later she was instructed by her son, Kapil Dev. But yes, if one takes directly to service of the Vaishnavas or service of the Lord, then tepi yanti param gatim. The women wouldn't be expected to go to the Gurukul and be engaged in Shravanam Kirtanam and study, but in their own way. They could be hearing, they could be chanting, they could be serving. And that's their business, to serve their husbands. And Prabhupada said if the husband is a pure devotee, the wife gets the benefit. So, yeah, there's, what is it? About Kulim Gram, that one village, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, even a dog born there is dear to me. So everyone, otherwise, what does it mean, Tepi Yanti Param Gatim? But this Shravanam Kirtanam, yes, that will help us most. Otherwise, if I'm not wrong, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that it's Karma Mishra Bhakti. He's doing some practical activity, because that practical activity is ultimately connected to the Lord. He makes progress. He makes progress. He becomes purified. So it doesn't matter, even if he's not doing Shravanam Kirtanam. He's doing Vaishya Karma. He's doing Shudra Karma. He's doing Kshatriya Karma. He's doing his karma as a Brahmin. So, and that karma is connected to yajna. It's connected to sacrifice. He's doing it for the satisfaction of the Lord, or he's doing something which is ultimately meant for the satisfaction of the Lord. So that connection is going to bring it to the point of bhakti, and that bhakti is going to purify his heart. So gradually, that's the point. Otherwise, it's not just by working that one becomes perfect, but it's because, work is worship. No, but it's because the work is connected to Krishna, because there's sacrifice, because it's done for Krishna's satisfaction. Even if I may not be doing it exactly with that motive, but I'm serving someone and doing something meant for Krishna's satisfaction. So I'll gradually be purified. But he says, the person who's doing Shravanam, Kirtanam, and so on, he's directly taking to the activities of pure devotional service. That will be, yes, the activities of direct devotional service, that will be more effective.
It reminds me in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kola Vicha Sridhar.
Yes, he wasn't a Brahmin, but he was a pure devotee. And there are so many examples of pure devotees who were not Brahmins by qualification or by practical activity, guna karma. They were something else, but they were pure devotees. A cobbler who surpassed the Brahmin because he understood that, yes, Narayan can do anything. I'm sitting under this tree and I see that the tree banyan tree has so many seeds, and in each seed there's a tree. Each tree there's so many seeds. So if Narayan can do this, why can't he be pulling an elephant, as Prabhupada said, this way and that way through the eye of a needle? Yes, why not? But the sophisticated Brahmin couldn't accept it.
Right.
So the Shudra was considered superior.
Panchatattva Prabhu, go ahead, please.
I was attracted to this sentence that Prabhupada gives in the purport. And I think it's right near the beginning. It's within the first paragraph. He's summarized the duties of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And after he does that, directly after he does that, he says, everyone's aim should be to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by engaging his mind in thinking always of Krishna, his words in always offering prayers to the Lord or preaching about the glories of the Lord, and his body in executing the service required to satisfy the Lord. So it kind of struck me because that was a message for everybody. It was a message for the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. The Sudras can preach to each other about the glories of the Lord. They don't have to stay mum because they're Sudras. And they can chant and they can hear very nicely about the glories of the Lord. So I just really like that statement that Prabhupada put almost strategically, Hare Krishna.
Yes, the whole presentation here by Srila Prabhupada is directing us directing us to direct devotional service. He's not saying, well, Karma Mishra Bhakti, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur is analyzing it closely in that way. And Srila Prabhupada is giving us practical application that, yes, you take whatever activity it is and make it pure devotional service. Have that intention of serving Krishna.
Okay, I would like to invite Panchatattva Prabhu for the next one, please.
Asabhihaneka guno dvaraha pritagvida dravya guna kriyoktivihi sampadyater tashaya linganamapir vishuddha vijnana guna sarupataha. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental and not contaminated by this material world. But although he is concentrated spirit soul without material variety, for the benefit of the conditioned soul, he nevertheless accepts different types of sacrifice performed with various material elements, rituals, and mantras, and offered to the demigods under different names according to the interests and purposes of the performers. Purport. This is a long purport, so I guess we should be breaking it up.
Yes.
For material prosperity, there are recommendations in the Vedas for various types of yajna, sacrifice. In Bhagavad Gita 3.10, it is confirmed that Lord Brahma created all living entities, including human beings and demigods, and advised them to perform yajna according to their material desires. Sahad yajna praja shristva. These performances are called yajnas because their ultimate goal is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. The purpose of performing yajnas is to get material benefit. But because the aim is to simultaneously satisfy the Supreme Lord, such yajnas have been recommended in the Vedas. Such performances are, of course, known as karma kanda, or material activities. And all material activities are certainly contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Generally, the karma kanda ritualistic ceremonies are performed in the mode of passion. Yet the conditioned souls, both human beings and demigods, are obliged to perform these yajnas, because without them, one cannot be happy at all. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that these karma kanda ritualistic ceremonies, although contaminated, contain touches of devotional service. Because whenever there is a performance of any yajna, Lord Vishnu is given a central position. This is very important, because even a little endeavor to please Lord Vishnu is bhakti and is of great value. A tinge of bhakti purifies the material nature of the performances, which by devotional service gradually come to the transcendental position. Therefore, although such yajnas are superficially material activities, the results are transcendental. Such yajnas as Surya Yajna, Indra Yajna, and Chandra Yajna are performed in the names of the demigods, but these demigods are bodily parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demigods cannot accept sacrificial offerings for themselves, but they can accept them for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as a departmental tax collector of a government cannot collect taxes for his personal account, but can realize them for the government. Any yajna performed with this complete knowledge and understanding is described in Bhagavad Gita as brahmarpanam, or a sacrifice offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since no one but the Supreme Lord can enjoy the results of sacrifice, the Lord says that He is the actual enjoyer of all sacrifices. Bhoktaram jagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Sacrifices should be performed with this view in mind. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.24, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir, Brahmagnao Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahma karma samadhina. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Should I stop there or continue? Should we?
Until that verse.
Okay. The performer of sacrifices must always keep in view that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas are meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishnu arajyate panta. Vishnu Purana 389. Anything material or spiritual done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord is understood to be an actual yajna, and by performing such yajnas, one gets liberation from material bondage. The direct method of getting liberation from material bondage is devotional service, comprising the 9 following methods. Well, should we stop there?
Yeah.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayādvaita Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deva. Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shundavari Paschat Yade Shatarine. So I think Guru Maharaj, you were about to say something. Would you like to go ahead?
No.
Okay. Sorry, voice is froggy. Yeah, it's interesting that Prabhupada makes the point right away in the purport that although these karma kanda jagyas, of which the Jagyartat Karmano Nyatra verse from Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, is pointing to, although there's material motivation to be happy in this life and the next and so forth, to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu is the main purpose, although the performers of the yajnas have material motives, but because they're making these offerings with this central focus, even in terms of demigod worship, with the person in the middle, in the prominent position, the central focus is always Lord Vishnu, at least if the yajnas are being performed properly. So they get benefit from that. There's some purification that goes on, and also their material desires are fulfilled. But we're supposed to come to an understanding of who is finally the full and sole focus of yajna, and what is actually a pure motive in offering that yajna. We gradually, by performance of yajnas, one comes to understand also what one's prime interest is, one's supreme interest, as Maharaj mentions in a phrase in his book, Vanity Karma. We have our supreme interest. We have petty interests throughout our life, but are they our supreme interest? No, they're not. They tend to be off in this direction and that direction for material enjoyment. But we have a supreme interest in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engaging in loving relationship with the Lord and his devotees. That's a supreme interest. I'll stop there. Guru Maharaj, would you like to say something?
Well, I'll just comment again that these are significant instructions in this section. We might be tempted to just sort of plow through them and say, okay, it's about varnashram. We've heard this before, but if we give it careful consideration, there's a lot going on here, and we can pick it up again on Monday.
Thank you, Maharaj. I would invite Venkatesh Prabhu.
Okay, just 1 minute.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Raya Krishna Vrishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitina Vine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachahine Nirvishesha Sunya Bhadu Pashatya Deshatarine Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayādvaita Gadadhar Vasadiko Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dear Vishwa Karma की प्रेरणा राष्ट्र प्रशंसा एक की जय। देव विश्वा कर्म परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर की जय। अंधकोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमः श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। शिव से गौर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। देवलीपुर धाम की जय। गंगाबाई यमुनाबाई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। All gods and devotees, all gods and devotees, all gods and devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories, Shri Gauranga.
Thank you, Venkatesh Prabhu, for your kirtan. Thank you, all the devotees, for joining this Zoom class. And especially thank you, Maharaj, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Maharaj ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu. Thank you to all.